Welcome to my commentary for New York Comic Con 2022. I guess that's how I'm going to start this video. I feel like I should have it like a catchphrase or something. Maybe like Fozzie Bear going waka waka. I remember some comedians talking that there was some comedian, they couldn't recall his name, but after every joke, he would say a catchphrase like hamburger. And it was like so stupid and so annoying, and it just got less and less, more annoying and less funny and more cliche as he kept doing it. Whether the joke bombed or, did okay, he would just go hamburger. But somewhere along the way, I guess like it started becoming funny again. I don't know. I see a lot of YouTubers, they have like some sort of catchphrases and stuff, but I don't know. I'm not really doing this to sort of, attract an audience. This is just more for me. I don't even know how I have subscribers, but hey, if you're enjoying this, all the more power to you. I'm going to do something a little different this time. I'm not going to just try to talk about every vendor that interests me and try to give details on them. I kind of was doing that during 5 Points Fest, and I was also sort of talking and doing commentary while I was recovering from being sick. So maybe my voice was a little down, or I was a little more not myself while I was talking. This time I'll just kind of just talk about whatever comes to mind. Talk about conventions, talk about collecting, talk about philosophy, life, what it means to be human. I don't know. Just all the more stuff to just for me to look back later in life and try not to cringe too much, but just maybe just to capture again where I'm at, what I'm into. So yeah, New York Comic Con. Saw some cool cosplay, He-Man and Skeletor and Death Note, Ryuk. That was pretty cool. People were like bringing their A game definitely to this convention. I was at San Diego Comic Con. I'm sorry, I still haven't uploaded video of that. I hit that convention up, and I also am about to hit up Designer Con next month. That'll be mid-November. I just came back from LA from Son of Monster Palooza convention, which is a convention dedicated to horror, not horrors, not Ron Burgundy horrors, horror. And it was more like art based. It was like a smaller convention. Son of Monster Palooza took place in Burbank, just north of LA. There's another convention called Monster Palooza, which is the bigger one that takes place in Pasadena, and they do more like, big Halloween displays and, special effects and huge stages for makeup. This one was a little more intimate, so I'll upload that after I do this. It's just taking me a little longer than I thought to upload. YouTube recommended, I think they recommend a certain bit rate for 4K videos at 60 frames per second. And I had to get a new rig, but it turned out I didn't have enough RAM, so I'm trying to fix that. But yeah, it was taking me almost like 24 hours or even longer just to render these videos with the titles and stuff. So you can see I put row numbers up in the upper left corner. It'll be easier for me to like navigate and sort of figure out where I am in the convention. If anyone wants to like look at this, it'll be cool. There's some cool wrestlers from Heroes Hideout, Rikishi, Ron Simmons, Papa Shango, The Godfather. They were doing signings over here. That was really cool. I never was a insanely huge wrestling fan, but I love the video games. I remember watching a lot of wrestling as a kid. I mean, everyone watched. My age watched Andre the Giant, Hulk Hogan, the Titans, and yeah, I used to like it a lot as a kid. I even used to like Glow, the Gorgeous Ladies of Wrestling. Before it was a Netflix show, I remember just vegging out and watching that, like occasionally on weekends when it came on, or like late at night it used to come on before like that Channel 9 Howard Stern show. It was like on Channel 50 or something like that. But I used to be fascinated by it. Probably had a developing fetish for Death by Snoo Snoo when I watched that. But yeah, this convention was pretty crowded. As I get into the later rows, you'll probably see how crowded it gets. There were a couple lanes where it felt super claustrophobic. It was like being in a mosh pit. So yeah, I think because of that, I finally started to get convention burnout. I'm sort of glad that Designer Con is the last convention I'm going to this year. I'm sure there'll be more room, more breathing room, and I like the conventions where there's a capacity limit. I guess we're kind of spoiled by the pandemic, but I really enjoyed those because it got more of a chance to like talk to artists and stuff like that. Here it's just like a mad rush for everything. I think this day that I was filming was Friday. And the second half of this, I think this video is in 3 parts. So maybe the first half of all my footage is on Friday, and the second half is Saturday. Thursday I went and just tried to get a couple things that I wanted, and I was so tired. I was up all night waiting in line, and somehow I ended up number 40 in line once we got to the interior part of the queue. But as soon as I got my stuff, I went back to the hotel and I fell asleep for like 4 hours. This time I tried not to focus on just trying to buy stuff or get as many exclusives as I wanted. I really did try to sign up for all the panels. I think anyone who follows New York Comic Con is aware of like the catastrophe that was the queuing for the panels and registration, how the Kappa Pop Twitter had posted bypass links, and the entire panel registration queue system crashed the first day, and then they had to do it the second day. It was just a mess. I think all I got was a chance to buy that goddamn Pizza Rat Funko Pop. I couldn't get into the Funko line at all this year, but that's okay. I even forgot to like buy that stupid Pizza Rat. I just have calmed down with just getting into Funkos and stuff. I did enjoy the Pop Asia booth that was at San Diego Comic-Con, and I got a lot of cool Funkos over there. But yeah, I think I'm kind of tired of them. I've kind of moved on from it. But this convention, I tried to focus more on just going to some cool panels and just chilling out and relaxing and taking my time and just enjoying more aspects of the convention. A lot of tips and tricks say if you're starting to get con burnout, just do something that you wouldn't normally do. So yeah, I tried to do a lot more different events than what I normally do. For me, usually I treat this conventions as a great place to learn about cool products and try to see and get exclusive items that I try to collect. But this time I tried to just refocus my interests and my efforts, and I think I was a lot happier this time. It was a lot less stressful and a lot more enjoyable. But that being said, it is pretty stressful doing a full complete walkthrough of the conventions. I think for Designer Con that might be the last time I ever do it. I don't think I'm going to do it. If I do video footage anymore for conventions, it'll just be me focusing on certain booths that I like, or certain artists or vendors that I like, just for posterity, or just to focus. I mean, I have hours and hours of footage going back 3 years now. Some cool, interviews or conversations I had with certain vendors and artists, and I've never posted that stuff. I've just kind of been so get sidetracked with work and family and life, and by the time I get home from work, I just want to chill with some good craft beer or some soda and good Thai food, and be disappointed by the latest episode of Rings of Power or House of the Dragon. So disappointing. Those shows. I won't get into it, but I don't know. I feel like character consistency and logical writing is kind of a thing of the past. Now they're just trying to exploit our sentimentality for these IPs that we held dear, and they're just seeing, how far they can get away with it. There are still some good shows out there. All right, let me talk a little bit back about what we're seeing here. This is a Martian Toys booth. I always hit and stop by. They always have a cool art gallery or show. Man, that Dragon Deca is awesome up there. Some of these were really, really pricey, but I mean, a lot of custom work and care and effort went into these. Martian Toys, they're an actual store in Philly. I live in the DC area. I've driven up to that store a bunch of times. They always have cool art gallery exhibitions. They're just a good group of people there too. When I first started going there was this guy Brian, who was a manager. Such a good guy. He moved on, and he moved out to LA to do his thing. But Aaron and Kevin are still there. They're like, I don't know, they're like the Hagrid and Mad Eye Moody of that store. They're just really good guys. I think I had a little conversation with them over here in a bit. Just random casual conversation, and they introduced me to an artist from the Ukraine, Yuka Mak. I'll put her social media and stuff down below. She's like up and coming and sort of having a rebirth for her career now. She had to escape Ukraine, and she's here now starting over. But a good group of people. If you're ever in the Philly area, definitely stop by this store. They got a lot of cool shit. Great attitude. It feels like the old comic book store kind of days.
Good. How are you, man?
Pretty good.
Good.
Do you score anything this weekend?
I got the Miles Raw Man.
Okay.
And I got a couple things from Stormy Vault. Just a couple things I wanted, like that Mupa Mallow, the black and blue, and also the Creon chicken. Yeah, not too much stuff this time.
Yeah.
But just
is it worth coming up? Do you buy a 4-day pass?
What's that?
Did you buy a 4-day pass?
Yeah, I did. I did.
Are you staying for the whole 4 days?
Yeah, it's worth coming up because I haven't taken really much vacation all year.
Okay.
So now I'm cramming 15 days towards the end of the year.
Are you doing other stuff in New York besides
Yeah,
coming here?
there's a gallery show, Bottleneck Gallery. They do really cool posters and pop culture art. So they're having a 10-year anniversary party with like an open bar and so I got into that. That's up in Brooklyn tonight.
Okay.
But I'm trying to debate between that and the Violent Night movie panel that I got into.
Okay.
Violent Night is the guys who did those Nazi zombie movies. I forget what it's called. It was like this really campy Nazi zombie movie that came out, but it's from the same guys. But it's a takeoff on.
And where is that playing
at the Empire Stage.
Okay.
Yeah, like it's like Santa Claus, but he's almost like a John Wick type character.
Okay.
Yeah.
Cool.
So, I mean, it's worth it because I just need to decompress.
Yeah.
Just working all the time.
Yeah, that's good.
Yeah. How about you? You're here all 4 days.
Yeah,
right?
I'm here. Like Mike didn't come up, so we're a little short-handed.
Yeah.
Yoka's here. Did you meet Yoka?
No.
Yoka. This is Kyle. He's a collector.
Hi,
he lives in
nice
D.C.
Yeah, I drive up to
Yoka's from
Philly.
Ukraine, so she came over in May.
Oh, okay.
And so she works with us, and she does graphic design, and
great.
she did some illustrations. She did these.
Oh, that's really cool.
Yeah. So, Mike stayed home this time.
Oh, okay.
And Ethan quit.
Oh, he did?
Yeah, he's designing like soccer jerseys.
Oh, okay.
Like, he played indoor football, futsal.
Yeah.
And so he got involved in like designing like soccer jerseys.
Yeah.
I don't know.
I mean, is he going to incorporate any cool artistic design into that? Or?
Another one of his hobbies was like retro advertising, like the old gas station signs and Coca-Cola stuff.
Oh yeah.
So I saw one of his soccer jerseys, and it was based on like Model T Fords.
Oh, okay.
Oh, hey, how's it going, man? Buy the
How's life adjusting to U.S.? You came straight from Ukraine, right? Your English is probably good. You're still getting there? Okay. So right now, are you just doing like stickers, or are you doing everything?
She does NFTs too.
Oh, you do? Okay.
She would really like to sell like a $10 million NFT. So she can retire, but that hasn't happened yet.
Yeah.
How much do you think the Sonic is worth?
What's that?
How much do you think Sonic is worth?
is
What did you pay me for Sonic?
Me? I'll say about 3,200.
Okay. More respectable than most things.
Yeah. Why? What are other people saying?
I think most people think it's like $20.
Oh, okay.
Most people want to pay $20.
You know what? Put a quick symbol on it and add 2,000.
Well, it's like, I mean, it really should be like 10.
Yeah.
5,000.
Yeah. Oh, so.
The new approach is when somebody asks me about it, I say, how much would you pay me for it?
Yeah.
And they're like, I don't think they like that answer, but I'm like, well, I don't like your answer, so tell me your answer, and I'll tell you if I like
It's
that.
like they don't really have any intention of buying it.
Somebody asked me earlier, I asked her that question, she walked away. She said,
Yeah.
I'm going to go ask my partner. Disappeared.
Yeah.
Exactly.
You should say she did an NFT for it.
Yeah.
And then it'll skyrocket.
I think Pool might have a problem.
Yeah.
Want to do his own.
So you're living in Philly?
She lives here in Brooklyn.
Oh, here. Oh, okay. So you're working from. Oh, okay.
I mean, I go down to Philly twice a week.
Okay.
You know that.
Yeah.
She goes sometimes.
Oh, okay.
But yeah, Kevin's there all the time. So and then we hired Vincent Peake. You know the artist Vincent Peake?
Yeah.
We hired him for like 2 days a week.
Business course is gone.
Yeah. Sorry.
This way.
And you're in the midst of another celebrity. That's Ken Komodo from the Heart, Hawaii, the store, the only toy store in Hawaii.
I've been on his live streams occasionally. Yeah.
I mean, we were like Kevin and I were staying there.
What's
So my social medias
okay.
and there my NFT market's website.
Okay. What's Mak? Mak is a
like
common
soulmate.
Ukrainian.
Surname now.
Okay.
Like I had another from marriage and then I divorced and like I
okay.
cut it off. All
Oh,
that stuff.
sorry.
And I work with USA. Many companies was like once they come again, what's your surname? Come again. And I was like, oh my god, no. And I changed back and it's like my artistic name.
Okay.
6-inch
Now and
customs. We're
passport
gonna go
name
behind the
is easier to
register.
work with.
And all the
Okay.
production.
The only time I ever heard the name Mak is
I feel like maybe people don't
when I was
realize
playing
that we
like
have
Dungeons and
normal pricing
Dragons.
stuff as well.
There's
The big ones that we've seen
a
is like
spell called Dim Mak, which means touch of death.
Yeah,
Yeah,
I
so-
played in Warcraft.
Okay,
I understand.
okay, yeah. So funny.
behind the register.
Yeah.
So it's my surname.
Oh, that's cool. That's
I
you?
don't. I mean,
My
there's little
first
things we can do. You know,
toy
Dragon was
collection,
supposed
but
to
I
be
leave
own.
all. It's already was done.
Yeah.
Limited edition, but
What
I
is that?
left
What
in
is that
Ukraine.
process of
So I will
Probably
produce
not.
here
What would
again.
Yes, start over, start
Yeah,
fresh.
I will tell a whole story of this collection.
Yeah. Were you able to bring anything over with you
No.
when you came?
No. I just escaped with kids with only.
Okay, so that was a conversation that went on a bit longer. I accidentally cut the recording short. I had a pretty interesting conversation with Yuka about her experiences in Ukraine and what it was like over there, and just in general what she went through. I talked a little bit more with Aaron, who was just rocking those awesome glasses. But you can tell it's a really good group of people. Every time I've gone to Martian Toys, it feels a little bit like I don't know, like going into the bar for Cheers, and people just know your name, and you feel you just feel like you're among kindred souls and spirits, and just fun to talk shop with those people. But yeah, it's such a great store. I wish a store like that existed around in the DC area. I know out in LA, they got Japan LA, they got Bait, they got why am I not thinking? There are a bunch of designer toy shows out in the California, in the Los Angeles area, and I know up in New York there, my other really fun store to go up there to is My Plastic Heart. That's such a cool store too. It's a very cute, intimate store, and they have occasional good, fun events. I went to a gallery exhibition of custom toys of 100% Softs dumpster fire show earlier in the year. I didn't go out to the one in Chicago, but the one in New York was really cool. And I ended up picking up a couple custom cool pieces there. And they had like fun giveaways and raffles, but being up in Brooklyn for My Plastic Heart store is really cool. It's a really fun store. But yeah, the other place that I would love to visit is down in Tampa, Florida. I think they have Strange Cat Toys, and they have some really cool art galleries down there too. But yeah, next time I go out to LA, if I can, there are some cool art galleries there. I think not Bottleneck. I think Gallery 1988 is out there. They do a lot of 1980s kind of pop culture toys and posters, and yeah, it'd be really fun and cool to get out there. So yeah, what else can I say? In the past, coming to New York Comic Con always seemed to coincide with a really cool movie, a real cool blockbuster movie that I was so excited to go. A part of like the ritual was Thursday night, I got early night tickets to something great. I think in past years it was stuff like what was that movie, Blade Runner 2049, and then the year before that it was or actually was it last time was No Time to Die, that James Bond film. Man, that movie was so kick-ass. I love that it broke the rules. I'll talk about a spoiler here, so if you don't want to hear the spoiler for that last final James Bond movie with Daniel Craig, just go ahead and forward like, I don't know, 5 minutes or so. But yeah, my boy Daniel Craig from Layer Cake, man, God, he was so sick and money in that movie. He was great in Layer Cake. I thought the way, you know, UK does gangster films, they have like so much style, and it's not just got like, you know, directors like Guy Ritchie or Timothy Wan. There's just something in the essence, or how their gangster movies just have like this modern style to it. It makes it feel like the natural evolution of noir films when they do gangster films. But Daniel Craig, I thought, was amazing in Layer Cake. You know, he was like the right amount of vulnerability and, you know, just kick-ass and, you know, lucky motherfucker. Yeah, you could see why they kind of picked him to be James Bond. But when Casino Royale came out, I was just blown away. I mean, just like everybody was. It was just so raw and brutal and played to character strengths. And you know, it was just a fun, more I don't know, just believable way that James Bond would be done. And for a while, I felt like the series was sort of treading water and wasn't really evolving. But with that last movie, my God, I just loved that thematically they took it to its conclusion. They basically had Bond lay his life down on the line for a worthy cause, for a noble cause. You know, for his daughter and you know, the mother of his daughter. I just thought that was just like the most poetic way Bond could go out. And yeah, I don't know how they're gonna top that. But yeah, that was a really amazing. That was a really nice experience. I mean, watching a movie like that, an iconic movie like that, during New York Comic Con or during that weekend, is what like would make this whole weekend so special to me. Yeah, the other thing I loved about this convention, more so than other conventions, is I always ended up making like cool friends and having great conversations with people in line. There was a conversation I coupled that I cut out of this video because I didn't get permission from people to post that stuff, and it can verge on some of personal details for people. So, but I just had my camera running all the time on my backpack strap. So, I just I wish maybe I should have asked if I could post some of those conversations, but it's okay. It's cool. Some stuff, not everything should be for video, I guess. But yeah, so some of the panels I went to this time included the Aqua Teen Hunger Force panel. I got to see the new movie, the Plantasm movie. It was pretty funny. It was a pretty funny satire. It was a little hard to hear because of where I was sitting, so I'm definitely going to watch it again. But it was just fun to just listen to that panel and then watch the movie. And the other panel that I went to was Mayfair Witches. I mostly wanted to go because I'm a big fan of Harry Hamlin and the early work he did back in the day with like Clash of the Titans and stuff like that. And also Jack Huston, who played that amazing sniper in Boardwalk Empire with half a face. I think his name was Barrow. God, that guy is such like a intense actor. And then Alexandria Daddario. I mean, she's ridiculous. You just you're like mesmerized by her eyes. But yeah, I like Anne Rice. I was interested in what they're doing with that show. It was a fun panel. My favorite panel, I think, was the Dan Harmon's Crepopolis. In a little while, I talked with him. He showed up here at the Fox Animation booth in a little while, so I asked him a quick couple questions and just wanted to say hi to him. But yeah, that panel was really, really good. I think I'm having withdrawal symptoms from Harmontown. I used to listen to that podcast all the time. I still have so many episodes that I never got to that I'm just making my way through now. But I remember when I would go to like conventions like Gen Con, which was a board game convention in Indianapolis, I would stay with my friend up in Fayetteville. And then, just to save on a hotel, but it was like over an hour drive down into the city. And, you're driving, and when you drive through Indianapolis, there's just a whole lot of nothing. It's just flat land with nothing on the horizon. Just, it feels like you're in part of a Matrix simulation where they didn't finish the world. And when you have like that kind of line of sight to the horizon, where there's nothing to see, nothing of interest to distract your eyes or your mind, I don't know, you start like thinking about your future, what's beyond the horizon. You start thinking, where's your life going? It's a bleak fucking drive, man. But yeah, I think listening to podcasts along the way, it made that drive a lot easier, made it fly by. But I used to listen to Harmon Quest going down that long drive, and I remember just laughing so hard when Rob Schraub was singing that Get Used to It song on the podcast, when he just kind of snapped from Dan Harmon like picking on him. But yeah, it was going to that panel was sort of getting like a feel, like maybe it felt like kind of being in a Harmontown podcast. When I went to Designer Con, I think it was a couple years ago, I had a chance to go to that podcast, but I just didn't stay long enough to do it, and I wish I had. That was like sort of their final year where they had a swan song. But yeah, Dan Harmon, you know, of Community fame, Rick and Morty fame, you know, I remember I bought Scud, the video game, way back in the day. So yeah, I'm definitely a fan of his. There he is right there, signing stuff, greeting his fans. In a little bit, you'll just see me talk to him. I'll just lower the volume down on this so you can hear what he says. But yeah, his I think one of my favorite episodes of Community is when they had the will, and they had to all play that virtual pixelated video game and try to beat it to get to the will. And Abed sort of hacked the game, was able to like construct a family and everything. That's what I was referencing, I think, at one point when I was talking to him. But yeah, great guy. Yeah. Oh yeah, there's Bob's Burger in the background. One thing I did like on YouTube was when the Mario trailer for for the new Mario movie came out, someone isolated the sound clip of Chris Pratt saying, "Welcome to the Mushroom Kingdom," and they put that voice to Linda from Bob's Burger. And when they played it, you realize whatever voice effect he's putting on, it sounds exactly like Linda from Bob's Burgers. You can't unhear it, but if you want to laugh, just Google or YouTube Bob's Burger Linda Mario. I don't know, I just found it amusing. So yeah, I'll just quiet down here in a minute and let me ask my cringy questions to Dan Harmon here in a second. Oh, and then there was another guy here, Todd, who was working this booth. I went to an event up in Brooklyn on Friday night. I was supposed to go to this panel for Violent Night. I didn't go to it. I ended up going to a 10-year anniversary party for that gallery, and I met this guy Todd up there, and yeah, he was just such a good guy. We were able to help each other get a couple posters that we wanted, but really nice guy. Small world when you just meet people, huh?
Hey, how you doing, man?
Good.
I was in your panel. It was really cool.
Oh, great.
Yeah, thanks.
Glad it went well, yeah.
Is there any chance Harmontown would do a reunion?
Well, probably.
Okay.
Yeah, I mean, I would imagine we would want to do like maybe a European tour or something like that, or just another American tour.
I might travel to Europe for that.
Right.
And then one of my favorite episodes of Community was when the animated one, the video game one. Mm-hmm. Is there going to be any animation in Community?
The movie?
Yeah.
I don't know. Maybe there'd be an opportunity to do a little something if it was justified in some way. Yeah.
Okay. All right. Cool. That's all. I just wanted to just say hi.
Thank you.
Thank you so much. I appreciate it.
Thanks for waiting around.
All right. Have a good one.
So yeah, they didn't show clips from the show during the panel for Crepopolis, but they did show some storyboards with some voices, and it looks pretty promising. Yeah, I love that theme of being in ancient Greece and having all these gods, and I think this show will be pretty good. It with shows out there like who was that show that's on Netflix? Disenchantment. Shows like Disenchantment. I love the themes of those shows. I just feel like I wish they were executed a little bit better. But I do like Harmon's sense of humor. I like his comedic. It's a little darker and a little, just a little more sort of in my lane. But yeah, I'm looking forward to that show for sure. Pretty cool jackets here from the Dorks. I love that Ryu jacket. I find myself more and more often just wearing video game clothes or pop culture clothes to work. I just don't care anymore. I have a Dalsim shirt from Uniqlo, where it's just a pixelated version of Dalsim from Street Fighter 2 with his arm stretching around to the back of my shirt. And one of my coworkers was asking, "Who is that?" And I just said, "Oh, it's my uncle." I don't know. I would love to buy, when I saw like RSVLTS or like some of these apparel clothing, for a while I wished that, like, you know, they would make polos of some shirts and just a very small subtle logo of like Blanca or, you know, the symbol for Attack on Titan. All you need to do is just make a high quality polo and just put like a little patch or a badge, kind of like, instead of a small polo horse and about the same size, just put a logo for one of the things you like. Could be like a TIE fighter, could be a stormtrooper. I don't know why nobody makes that. Every time I go looking for patches, like the patch is like the size of a porn star's areola or something. It's just, it's I don't know. They don't know how to make subtle professional clothing. If they had, I would have bought a lot of that stuff. But hey, you know, I'm in the tech field. I'm kind of on an island unto myself. I'm not really, you know, with a lot of other tech people with managers around, and I have sort of my own, you know, 200 some people that I serve, and I can kind of just dress down the way I want. I'm sort of forced to wear jeans just because of the nature of my work at some point, but you know, I can just pretty much wear whatever shirts I want. So yeah, I remember there is this YouTuber, Serpent ZA. He talks a lot about his experiences in China and motorcycling in China, and now he's here in the US and still does videos on China and Chinese culture and stuff like that. And he used to do IT also. He used to initially do like English teaching, and then he shifted over into IT. And the guy looks like the transporter. He looks imposing. He's always wearing sharp suits, and he talked in one of his videos about why he dresses how he dresses. And he noticed that when he used to dress down in t-shirts or slacks, or, you know, or not slacks, but just casual clothes or not super sharp clothes, he noticed that a lot of people in a lot of workplaces wouldn't give him the time of day. They wouldn't sort of like, they would just almost down like in a hierarchical way, you know, sort of not pay attention to him or make him wait or make him like a almost second tier or third tier. But he noticed that as soon as he started dressing sharp and taking care of himself and acting like he's like, you know, just dressing properly, he noticed that people's reactions changed. They literally would, you know, make him the top priority. So yeah, I think dressing how you dress yourself definitely is pretty important. But where I work, I try not to stand out. I'm actually the opposite. I try to sort of just be a behind the scenes sort of person and make sure everything's working. So I don't know, that just sort of works for me. But if I was in a different environment, I would do that. But I may evolve, you know, I don't know, I may evolve. I have all these cool anime shirts from back in the day that I got from Hot Topic. They're really nice quality, but man, I gained so much weight during this pandemic. I just gotta like buckle down, just not only just for vain purposes. I need to get my health back. So I try to make a concerted effort to try to like lose some weight so I can start wearing cool clothes again. I feel like I'm just cycling between the same 5 pants and the same 6 shirts all the time. Here's Toki Doki. I had a pretty good conversation with a guy while I was waiting in line. I was talking about Toki Doki. He was there mostly for his wife, but we just ended up talking about, you know, just some of the cool things in this brand and, you know, what brought us here. There's a cute kid in a Chun-Li outfit that you might have seen earlier. I thought that was really well done. I have like the Halloween first series complete. This is a third series over here, the After Dark series. Some really cool stuff there. I pretty much like their Halloween and their metallic series. And one of the large Toki Dokis I have is with different kinds of Asian foods and Japanese foods on it. I'm a big foodie. I think I've probably mentioned that before. But yeah, a lot of my travel is dictated by what I want to eat. I mean, that's like a huge thing for me. So food is definitely a driver, but I gotta just take my health. There's that cute kid. Yeah, that was pretty good. That was a really well done outfit. I wish I had like known about Comic-Con when I was younger. I would have definitely gone at a younger age. I don't know why it was just never on my radar until maybe about 6 years ago. I just never thought about it. Yeah, Toki Doki, I like their aesthetics. I like their skateboards and some of their designs and stuff like that. They do a pretty good job. Designer Toys is, I don't know, it's not for everybody. I didn't get into Designer Toys until maybe about 4 years ago. I had a friend who was super into them, but I really wasn't. I was just more into collecting statues and art prints and stuff like that before then. And one day I was browsing YouTube, and I was just browsing different convention live streams just like this. That's one of the reasons I decided to do this, I think, at some point, because if I couldn't go to a convention, I would look to see if anyone did film roll of a convention, just to see if there was something cool that I might have missed out on, or it was still available, or something cool that a vendor was selling, or maybe just to get a sense of what I can expect if I ever went to such a convention. But while I was doing that, I saw this kid had done a walkthrough of Designer Con, and he did commentary on it. And I think at one point he passed by this artist G-Monic, who had these really crazy, insanely detailed metallics, hangable sculptures. I don't want to call them paintings because they were like 3D and made with metal and aluminum and car parts, but these beautiful sculptures that look like Darth Vader and a stormtrooper, but with like AK-47s and, you know, ammo clips and just like interesting, almost like found parts. And I just thought that was fascinating. And yeah, so I was like, okay, you know what? I'm definitely interested in seeing those pieces in person. And if it's affordable, maybe I'll get one. But I just got to see that in person. And I got to see what else this artist is up to, this G-Monic guy. So yeah, I went to that convention, and my friend who was way into designer toys was going too. So I met up with him. We went to Anaheim. This was a few years ago. And I started, you know, walking around that convention. And, you know, I met that G-Monic guy, by the way. He was such a great, nice guy. He was with his girlfriend at the time. And I ended up picking up 2 of his pieces. I had to sort of box them up and bubble wrap them. One of them got a little damaged when it got home, and I repaired it. But yeah, he's since left the designer toy world. I think like he wasn't getting traction with his stuff, even though it was amazing. I think it was a niche product, some of his sculptures and stuff. Maybe it was just a little too high priced, but I think he left to go do some MMA fighting, because he was a pretty huge guy who did like boxing and MMA. And he told me that he was getting to an age range where he needed to see if that went anywhere, and he didn't want to be aged out of that sport. So he left art for a while, and he's just pursuing that dream. He said he might come back to art at some point, but I hope he does. But yeah, he was a pretty talented guy. But yeah, anyway, so while I was walking around the DesignerCon convention, yeah, I was like just slowly started getting seduced by designer toys. It was partly that, and partly a year before I went to DesignerCon, I took a trip to Singapore. And I went there because, you know, I was collecting these pop culture statues, and I had bought, this was maybe like way back in 2018, I had bought like 3 statues by this company called XM Studios. One was a Wolverine Weapon X statue where he's like sort of bursting out of the container. One was a Catwoman statue, but it was Catwoman as if she was in a futuristic version of Japan with like a cool cybernetic motorcycle. And one was a what was the third one? Can't remember what the third statue was. Oh, it was Poison Ivy. Poison Ivy, done also in that samurai Japanese Batman aesthetic. And you know, shipping, this was pre-pandemic, so air shipping, you know, it was pricey, but not as insane as it is now. But sea shipping really wasn't an option. So I thought, okay, you know what? If I go to Singapore, I can attend this Comic-Con, meet my buyer. Maybe I'll make some cool friends out there, try some good food from Singapore. Maybe I can drive up to Malaysia and get some good Malaysian food too. And, you know, when I come back, instead of bringing suitcases back with me, I'll just bring back a couple of these boxes, like checked baggages, because even though they're heavy, they sort of meet Japan Air's liberal parameters for weight and size for what qualifies as checked baggage. And I'd have to maybe only pay for the third box, which was like $50 for a third bag. And but yeah, while I was there at Singapore Comic-Con, which was like a very small convention, there was a lot of cool designer toys over there. Not as much as DesignerCon or New York Comic-Con, but there were quite a few. So I think that was maybe my first exposure to it. It was just interesting seeing stuff like Nendroids, or, you know, statues, or not statues, figures from Good Smile or 3-0. Stuff you don't normally see in vast quantities in America. Over here, everything is inundated with Funko all the time. So yeah, but yeah, when I went to DesignerCon, slowly I got seduced by designer toys, and I just saw, like, you know, they're taking a lot more chances, artistic wise, and there's a lot more integration with hip hop and, you know, truth to power and punk rock when it comes to designer toys. So yeah, I slowly got into it more and more. So yeah, Toki Doki was a big one that I saw at Singapore Comic-Con. Got to meet the creator. He did a cool sketch for me. But yeah, it was fun. Yeah, check out these acrylic prints by V1 Tech. These are really pretty, really beautiful. They really reflect the light really well. Some of this artists did a really good job. I liked a lot of V1 Tech stuff here. It was pretty simple for a lot of their prints, but simple but beautiful. And then there was another booth next to this. You might have seen it before I cut away. That was called Gallery Panda. I come back around to them later in the convention at a bigger booth that they're at. So you'll get to see a lot of Gallery Panda. But I did pick up a few acrylic prints from Gallery Panda, mostly because there was an artist there that I follow on Instagram. His name is SEXEN Art. I'll make sure to reference him at some point. But he does like cool samurai type renditions of superheroes. And there were some really beautiful Studio Ghibli prints, and one of the artists, Elora, I think her name was from Scotland, was also at that Gallery Panda booth. These V1 Tech prints, I thought they were cool. especially like the simplistic ramen and onigiri and like some of those signs. I thought they were just really, really beautiful and stood out. But I think Gallery Panda sort of won out with me over the because of the artist. So I ended up getting a couple of those acrylic prints. But yeah, this show, I felt like it was just more of the same. I was a little disappointed with some of the booths that usually bring it. Like Bait, when they were at San Diego Comic-Con, they had like these awesome Funko Pops that were like Astro Boy dissected or glow-in-the-dark versions of him, or they had these really cool Boba Fett versions of their Funkos that were just like out of this world, detail-wise, pose-wise, sculpt-wise. They were really cool, and they were exclusive, I think, to the convention, or some of them were. This time I didn't feel like they really brought anything that exclusive. It's like they blew their load all on San Diego Comic-Con. But yeah, when I get a chance to go to LA again, the LA area again in mid-November for DesignerCon, I'll go and hit up their store. So this one I think is Valeza. Yeah, Valeza, this anime apparel store. It's pretty cool. They have some nice stuff. But I just find a lot of the anime clothes a little, I don't know. Maybe it's not to my liking. I had a lot of cool shirts, anime shirts from Hot Topic that I bought like about 10 to 15 years ago. Maybe almost some of them are 20 years old, but they're all in good condition. And they're just simplistic, like portraits or half torsos of characters that I liked a lot, like Haomaru or Kyo or Iori or the Punisher. I had some cool jerseys too back in the day based on certain superheroes or anime characters. But yeah, I don't know. I just some stuff, apparel, I find interesting. But lately, when I've been going to conventions, I'm not too bowled over by some of the apparel. I just I don't see anything that really is like a must-have or caught my eye. And I wish like more people would do zip-ups for. I love sweatshirts, but I'd rather have a zip-up. But yeah, I just don't feel like a lot of this stuff sort of appeals to me. It's cool. I'm glad it exists, but just lately, I haven't found myself wanting to buy anything apparel-wise. The only thing that I think the last thing that I bought apparel-wise was Luca Designs. I think I might have passed by them earlier, but Luca Designs, they had a really good leather Red Hood jackets, and I got that for my own Halloween costume. I had a pretty cool Red Hood getup. I wore one time for a Halloween party that I threw. But Luca Designs, they don't really have great sales, but they're pretty quality. This is Nakatomi Inc. I love their Tarantino vertical prints, like the Reservoir Dogs, and they have like a whole section on these empty it's called their real estate line, where they have like locations of like maybe like Bob's Burger or the nuclear power plant from The Simpsons, or the house from Breaking Bad. It's just basically like those locations in daytime or night. They're kind of cool. Some of their prints remind me of that guy Danger. I think his name is Harvey Danger, but he's a really cool artist. starting to get a sense to see how crowded it is here. This is nothing compared to how much it gets right around the 3,500 to 4,000, 4,200 rows. That's where it gets insane, right? Especially right around row 3,900. We're still pretty early in. This is spoke art. I got both of these two Jubei Ninja Scroll prints. There was like a 20% off coupon. So yeah, sometimes, you know, if you're looking to buy something, not everything is convention exclusive. And if you look online, you can probably find their website or the seller and find good coupons and save a bit of money and usually get free shipping. Oh, someone just hit my camera there. And Jubei Ninja Scroll was like such a formative movie for me. I just remember watching it and being blown away by it. I still feel like it still holds up for the most part to this day. Maybe like some of the themes can be problematic about a woman being poisonous when it comes to her sexuality, but I don't know. I just felt like that movie was so ahead of its times in a lot of ways. Some beautiful prints here. I don't know if you can pick up on the gold foil on like some of the prints in the back, like Reservoir Dogs, and there was a Kill Bill poster earlier that had like a lot of gold and gold foil. That was pretty cool. So yeah, this is that dumpster fire toy that I was talking about. There's this artist, his name is Truck Torrance. He has his own website called 100% Soft, and he does like a lot of cutesy type art posters that are done in this style. But yeah, when there was that gallery up at My Plastic Heart, they had a really cool customs using that sculpt of that dumpster to make some really cool stuff. There was a poster of Paprika back there too. Some really good anime. There is from What We Do in the Shadows, Matt Berry's character. God, that guy is funny as fuck. He's hilarious. Yeah, I see my unshaven, chubby face there. Sorry about that. Tried to cut my face out of this. There's a lot of Cobra Kai and Karate Kid cosplay going around. Daniel LaRusso, Ralph Macchio was there himself doing signings. I remember I saw him at Philly, a Philly Comic-Con maybe about 5 years ago or 6 years ago. It was like a year and a half before Cobra Kai came out, and like people were getting signatures, but there were long bouts of time where he had nobody standing there. He was just standing there by himself, kind of looking around, and now he's like A-list again. It's so great. I love Karate Kid. That was like basically Cinderella for guys growing up, or anyone that's ever been bullied or anything like that. It was just fun to watch that movie. This is it's called Ruby Art, but I think it's Compact USA is the company. But Ruby Art, I met the artist. I did a really cool interview with her at the last Comic-Con. Just a really quick, 4 or 5 questions. But I really like her art. I have quite a few of her prints. Some nice. Her prints translate really well to metal for sure. There's another booth a little bit later where I look at her art a little more. But she's like I love the way she does like her brush strokes. She's a really good artist. She used to actually be, I think, or she still is, a computer programmer, which was surprising to me. I did that for 13 years before I kind of had it and quit that profession and just shifted over to network administration, and then made my way up the ladder to being an SME. But yeah, I think you have to have a certain special mindset to be a developer. You always have to be a little bit of a masochist, but you have to also be persistent and super disciplined. Doing development, your brain sometimes never turns off. If you're doing projects, you're just always trying to like attack a problem, even when you leave your workplace. But yeah, some cool maps here. Thought these were pretty nice. His food stamps over here. He makes really cool. He has like his whole line of like these sort of kids that kind of get together and are got each other's backs and kind of like a gang, but sort of are in it, are like sort of fighting. You know what? There's like a whole comic to this series for these characters, but I can't remember now what the backstory is. But I just love the sculpts on these figures, and the owner Carlos, I think his name is Rios. He's a really good guy. But I liked. Here's a little bit of Ruby's art. You can see she has a variety of styles there. But yeah, food stamps is really cool. They had a really cool lenticular. I picked up one of their figures at 5 Points Fest. It was like a cool mix of anime and cybernetic and punk and hip hop. It's a nice blend. Camera got knocked again. A couple times the camera got knocked way out of whack. That's when you'll sometimes see me like fading the camera down a bit, and sometimes it was just because I was having technical issues. At one point my camera was overheating. So the camera is basically a DJI Osmo 2. I just have it attached to a battery pack in my backpack so it can just keep running forever. But I do have to like watch the heat on it. But it performs like a champ. 4K, 60 frames per second. The quality isn't as nice as like my Galaxy Note 20 Ultra was, or my new Fold 4. But it's, for the most part, it does a decent job at capturing everything. And having it attached to my backpack strap kind of keeps it a little subtle and out of the way, and try not to make people feel too self-conscious when I'm doing video recording. This is Steven Cartaccio with Concrete Jungle. He has like these sort of black series now for some of his figures. I like how he mixes like that kind of Chinese kung fu Wu-Tang style with hip hop and stuff. I have his Biggie statue, but yeah, really good guy. Pretty talented. I think this was Tenacious Toys booth. They had some really cool custom sculpts of like these oversized spray can tops over in the booth on the right, coming up. But yeah, they have this Kickstarter for that Faulty Dogs up above. But these are some of their spray can. That's Zard Apoya's custom with the ramen bowl. Zard is a really good guy. I think he's based out of Hawaii also. He does a lot of food-based stuff. I have a lot of his dunnies and monies based on food. Yeah. Some really talented stuff here. There's a better look at Zard's piece. That reminds me of Half-Life. That was amazing. I guess my camera is not doing some of these pieces justice. They look really, really impressive in person, even through like glass. I saw the first episode of Spy X Family. I can see why it's got pretty cool fan base. There's so much anime out there. Right now I'm just on Chainsaw Man, and I find some anime a little disappointing compared to like the way the manga was, but overall there's a lot of cool anime out there. I like that new one that's based on Cyberpunk on Netflix. That one's pretty good, but sometimes I get so disappointed. I really love like some IPs like Castlevania, and I feel like they really dropped the ball there. I found that so cliche and just not, I don't know, just like so immature, and some of the dialogue so fucking tiresome. It was like such a letdown. I was expecting something more like Todd McFarlane's Spawn, something dark and, having some bite to it, or something that would just ponder, like immortality from an interesting viewpoint, or just, blood feuds and shit like that. But hey, instead we got like, I don't know, I didn't like what we got. This artist is pretty good too. He was there with his daughter at San Diego Comic-Con. I liked his print with Mr. Miyagi with all the flies around him over there. I forgot this guy's name, but he's pretty good, pretty talented. He's got some pretty cool prints out there. Yeah. Coming up on the right here is Pancho Abalos. I first saw him at Designer Con. He was there with his daughter also. I love his take, this sort of punk take on anime and Star Wars, especially like his Star Wars prints. But yeah, I like his style. Love that Vader print up there. And there's Furikuri FLCL up in the corner. Yeah, that fat Spider Gwen. He started sculpting that sort of iconic kid in the dinosaur costume toy. I hope he like takes off. He's got some really cool stuff. This is 13th Floor. They kind of blend Star Wars and World War I and World War II prints together. I bought a few prints for a friend of mine for his bachelor party once. I think he liked them. That's a nice juxtaposition when they sort of put like Star Wars stormtroopers or Jedis in the middle of like World War II shots. It's like that guy who inserts like Star Destroyers and TIE Fighters into Thomas Kincaid paintings. Here's Dominic Glover. He's got really cool art. He had these huge lenticulars, and he's recently started doing really large scale lenticulars. Those are pretty nice. I like his art style. It's pretty cool. I never really got any of his prints, but I do admire them. But yeah, he's pretty talented. I kept going back over here because I was trying to capture some of those prints in the back, but it kept getting washed out by the lights. Not in person, but the way it showed up on my camera. So I kept trying to go back a couple of times to see if I could capture those, but I'm sure if you go to his website, you can definitely get a better look at some of that stuff. But it is always nice just to see stuff in person, see its size and see the details and see how some of the prints pop out on the medium that they're on. So yeah, that's one of the big advantages. So you can see bumped into somebody there. Yeah. Sometimes it's not me, it's just the camera hanging on the backpack strap. It's just sticking out a bit and there isn't room sometimes, and people walking by are just thinking they're just clearing by you, but you know, occasionally they'll collide with you.
Hey Donna, good, how are you?
Good.
I did. You know, it's it's my phone. Yeah.
Oh, it's like, I've never seen that towel. That's like,
Yeah. It's a Fold 4. Yeah, I got my Mupa Ballo and I got my Creon chicken. Yeah. That's it. You know, when I came, I was already awake for 30 hours. So as soon as I left your booth, I went back to my hotel and I fell asleep for like 4 hours. So I missed like most of yesterday.
I like half asleep too.
Yeah. Did everything go well?
Yeah. Yesterday was probably the busiest.
Yeah.
Now it's like trying to lure people in with designer toys.
Yeah.
Trying to put them on the other side.
Yeah. You guys aren't holding anything back for later on or anything, right? Like you're not holding any releases for Saturday or Sunday?
So we had Mamba come in with like a few pieces, but those sold out.
Oh, okay. All right. Did the Deer God and the other one, the $1,100 one, did those sell yet?
Actually, I can double check the one-off, but the LE3, right?
Yeah.
That's still available.
There's 3 of the Deer Gods, right?
Yeah. There's one sold, there's 2.
Okay.
So like 3 of them.
Yeah. I really like the other one, but oof, that price tag. But it's cool. I like it.
Yeah, I like it too.
Yeah. All right. I'm going to just try to make it through today.
Yeah.
Thank you. See you.
The people at Stormy Vault are pretty cool. They're from the Philippines. There's some Creon chicken. There's that deer god figure on the right with the red. Yeah, one thing I liked that Stormy Vault was doing was over here in the corner, they had different artists show up. For a while, they had Sad Salesman and then Mumbot and just some of the cool artists that are either like the originators of template sculpts or great customizers doing signings and meet and greets. And I wish more booths did stuff like that, but Stormy Vault, you can definitely tell they're super passionate. They do a really good job with their store and their events and their collaborations with artists and stuff like that. This was a Crunchyroll. I was just asking the guy what was the chance to win. They were giving away like 1-year subscriptions and premium subscriptions to Crunchyroll's website, so you can like stream all their cool anime and get into their virtual conventions and their Crunchyroll store, get a lot of good discounts and stuff. Crunchyroll is a pretty good site to watch anime. Oh yeah, Chainsaw Man was pretty big. I did get the registration to attend the panel for their English voice actors, but I ended up not going to it. I just wanted to make sure I didn't miss out on getting video footage of the entire convention. But I'm really liking this anime. It does feel a little derivative right now, just having watched the first episode or so. But the character design is insanely good. The art is really, really, really wonderful. But yeah, I'm just interested to see where the story goes. After I watch maybe the first season, I'll check out the manga and see how that is. But it does remind me of Berserk a lot. The way they do the animation, it's super fluid. I haven't seen animation that fluid, I would say, since, or it hasn't made that much. It made such an impact on me. The last time I felt like something made an impact on me that way was when I watched Robotech as a kid, when I was like 10 years old or 12 years old or whatever. But I like this artist. I forget her name, but she has some really cool tarot card prints and stuff. She does a really nice job with some of her apparel too. But I like her use of colors and her designs. Very pretty. Even her Metallica poster is pretty awesome. Alright, and I think this is My Plastic Heart. Yeah. So they had a cool booth here. I think if they had exclusives here, I missed out on them. I think Chris RWK had like a little CanBot up here. That was pretty cool. But they have like a really cool store. And get a little closer, and there's that Chris RWK CanBot on right there on the left. I guess they had some custom toys over here. They have a lot of blind boxes. Man, I still have blind boxes that I haven't opened up. I have these blind boxes of from Cryptozoic of they look like shoes that like superheroes would wear. And they're all like usually from the women of DC, from DC's universe. So it would be like, you know, like the heels that Wonder Woman would wear or Poison Ivy would wear. But they're like done really elaborately, beautifully. And I also have these blind boxes of vegetable type animals. They're called vegetable fairies. But yeah, I still haven't opened those. They're not from Pop Mart, but they're from some Chinese company. But I thought they were really cool. And also, I think I have some from this line called Mr. Bone. They did a Halloween series, so maybe at some point I'll just do an unboxing of those. Just gotta like make some time. So this was the Funko and Loungefly booth. I think Mondo was combined. I don't know what Mondo is offering here. I know Mondo had a pretty significant booth at San Diego Comic-Con, but I'm not sure what they were offering here. I kind of walked into the Loungefly side here in a minute, and I just panned the camera over to the madness that was Funko. But the whole time I was looking at the Funko side, I just figured they're all basically people who paid subscriptions to the Coppa Pop Twitter just to bypass the registration. So yeah, that's all right. I wasn't really bitter about the Funko thing. I was just like, you know, it is what it is. But I did think their booth was beautiful. The way they did the decorations and the way they sort of just built this entire structure was pretty impressive. This Loungefly is really nice too. This up and coming, some of these bags. Yeah, so here's the Loungefly area. Got some cool apparel. I totally forgot about some of these dresses and skirts and shirts. Yeah, and then over on the left-hand side, walled off, is the Funko area, and that's where they have like this Terry Crews type agents that'll break your neck if you think about walking over there. But yeah, there's all the Funkos. Yeah, but you can see they did a really nice job on this booth. It was pretty impressive. Made it seem like a cool haunted library or haunted house. Speaking of haunted houses, another cool thing I did when I went out to LA recently was visit that theme park, Knott's Berry Farm, and in the evening they call it Knott's Scary Farm. I guess they have like a big license with Peanuts and Charlie Brown and Charles Schultz, and there was it's very prominent to see like Charlie Brown, Snoopy, Franklin, Linus, Lucy, Sally, like the whole gang, Woodstock, integrated into the decorations and rides for that theme park. So it's pretty seamless for them to Halloween up the decorations with spider webs and sculptures and make it a little more Halloweeny. But one thing I really liked about it was, they have like something like 13 or 14 really cool haunted houses, and some of them are kind of pretty innovative. Like this new one that they had, it was called Bloodline 1849, and they gave you like this Halo assault type rifle with a digital readout, and as you walk through the haunted house you could like shoot at monsters, and the monsters had like these little laser lights on them, almost like receptors for laser tag, and you could shoot the monsters, and if they got shot they knew to back off instead of trying to scare you. And there were like windows you could shoot out and stuff, and at the end of it gave you a score. But some of the more older haunted houses, there was one called Pumpkin Peter. Man, like the production quality on it was so amazing. I was just blown away at how well those were done. And then on top of that, the actors and people that they have walking around, there were so many of them. It's not like just one random guy walking down the street. It'd be like groups and groups of people just popping out of the fog, or they would, if they weren't acrobats, they were extremely athletic, and some of them would have like wheelies or sound makers to do different voice effects, or to slide around almost like it was Jet Set Radio, where they're like leaving sparks off the bottom of their shoes. But yeah, I thought the way they did the production value was really, really good. That was really, really entertaining. There's a Gallery Panda, but I kind of panned away from it. But don't worry, a little bit later in the 4,000 area, I hit the bigger version of that booth up, and you'll get to see a lot of their prints, and I'll point out maybe some of the ones that I got. So yeah. There seem to be a lot of cool authors around here too. There was a girl that I was waiting in line. Though she was next to me in line when I started waiting, and she was really excited about Brandon Sanderson's Kickstarter and meeting him and getting like a lot of her stuff signed. And she was like super excited. She even got like the Brandon Sanderson miniatures and stuff. But she loved that whole world and loved the books and everything. So yeah, I've read I think the first 3 books of The Way of Kings. I haven't read the 4th one yet. I've been listening to the audiobooks. They're done really, really well. it's a fantastic fantasy series. There's my spirit animal right there. That's how I felt by the end of the day. But yeah, it's I'm glad like fantasy writing is like so strong. I'm still making my way through Wheel of Time. I'm still on the Robert Jordan portion. I think I'm on book 5 now. But yeah, I really love how well fantasy is done in contrast to how poorly it's being done on television right now. The writing on, I'm not going to get on a huge soapbox, but let's just say the writing on the new Lord of the Rings, Rings of Power, and the writing on House of Dragon leaves a lot to be desired. I think I watched all the way to the end of the Rings of Power, ridiculous throughout. People kept contradicting. The dialogue was so cheesy. House of the Dragon, I think the season finale is tonight. I have no interest in watching it. I don't care. I don't care about spoilers. I don't care about the show. I don't care about the characters. The show is a bleak show. There's no levity in it. You know, I think one of the things that made Game of Thrones work was in its prime was that at moments there were moments of joy. There was moments of levity. Even if like the levity was mean-spirited, at times with Tyrion, it felt natural because he came from a mean-spirited family, but he usually aimed his roasting at the appropriate targets, like Joffrey or something like that. I love this dog. Anytime I see a dog at the convention, I just stop. I have to focus on the dog. It's just always amazed at how well behaved these guys are. But so I just feel like that's missing. And on top of that, a lot of the character motivations don't feel natural. The arcs don't feel natural. I don't know if that's, maybe there's too many cooks in the kitchen. It's bad editing. They're not fleshing stuff out. But you shouldn't have to go to the internet and go to Reddit forums to do the mental gymnastics to make the hypocritical things that you see on the television make sense. It's really, really, really disappointing. I really don't feel like I have high standards. Even if I watch simplistic movies Mad Max Fury Road or John Wick, or even if it's something that's not well received, it has mediocre ratings, what was that Black Widow movie, at least there the characters make sense. Logically the characters have an arc. It's a believable organic arc. And I feel like that's just gone the way of the dodo. It's plot rules all. If the character has to make a 180 degree or 90-degree turn in their personality to suit the plot, we're going to do that. If we want to make something look cool, we'll do that. Never mind thematically if this makes sense. Never mind if the character would never do this. It's almost like pod people take over. And, I don't know. It's just really, really, really disappointing. I guess in a way, I'm glad for all this horrible, lackluster TV, because I've just gone back to books. I've gone back to audiobooks and reading comics. And while there's this downturn or lull in writing on television, I'm back on books. There are bright spots. The new Andor show is amazing. It's so good. When you watch that show, regardless of the fact that it's Star Wars, it just feels like a solid show. They put a lot of care into the writing. They put a lot of care into the locations. They put a lot of care into what people say. You could tell they storyboarded out the whole plot and the way things should go. Even though they have guest directors who are doing maybe a few episodes at a time, they seem to have a unified vision. It doesn't feel, like like, you know, when I watch like these other shows like House of the Dragon or Rings of Power, it almost feels like every couple shows it's like Lost, you know, where after J.J. Abrams left after that first season, it's just like, let's see what we can throw against the wall and see what sticks. And this seems cool, or that seems cool, and let's just go with that. And we can leave the wreckage of all this nonsense that we create for someone else to take care of later on. I don't know. It's just, I don't know. I guess maybe, I don't know. Maybe I'm becoming curmudgeon-y in my old age. This is another artist, Camilla Derrico, I spoke with briefly, so I'll leave it here.
Hey, how you doing? Good, good.
I'm the artist, so I just want to make sure everything's good.
Yeah, it's awesome. Yeah, this is really, really cool. I like the foil. That's really came out really nice with the horns. Yeah.
It's really interesting when I started to do different printing techniques.
Yeah.
The things you can achieve, and honestly, like the foil for me is just so beautiful.
Yeah.
It really accentuates.
Yeah.
Everything.
It's really cool.
I know.
Do you do what am I thinking of? Like more not like more adult women.
So my style is based on anime, so
Okay.
they tend to look younger.
Okay.
But they're more cherubic.
Okay.
But for me, they're still like adults.
Okay.
It's interesting. I never really embellished my characters.
Yeah.
But I do paint a lot more. So that one, Eating the Rainbow. So that's more like even I think she's like the most grown up.
Yeah. That's cool.
And then
This is almost like a take on Daenerys.
yeah, so that was my print for the year.
Oh, yeah.
So at the end of this year, you can get that print again.
Yeah.
But it's like up for Fate and Fortune, so it's luck dragons to bring us luck.
Okay. Do you title all your prints?
Oh yeah.
Oh, you do? Okay.
Yeah, these are originally their oil paintings. So they go into galleries, so I title them and I come up with I have descriptions for them.
Okay.
Yeah. Sometimes I don't like to give the description only because I like interpretations.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's really interesting.
Yeah.
Unless I have something really specific.
Yeah.
What am I doing with this? It's nice. I was like, what am I doing?
It's really cool. They almost look like oil paintings the way you draw them.
Yeah, they are oil paintings.
Oh, they are?
Yeah,
originally?
Yeah, look at you. You're like,
Okay.
So you knew.
Okay, yeah.
Yeah. Actually, I don't know.
So you have original paintings for sale too?
I do on my website. I sold out of my original oils here.
Okay.
The only thing I have are original sketches.
Yeah.
Which are 300 each. But yeah, on my website you'll see there's a section here for originals.
Okay. Where are you from, by the way?
Oh, I'm from Vancouver Island, Canada.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
But if you're local, I actually have a solo show in Newport, New York.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, in December. So if you follow, did you get a card?
Yeah, sure.
Okay. So if you follow me,
Okay.
or you sign up to my newsletter, you'll find out when the show is.
Okay, cool. It's nice meeting you.
Emerging artist. I love
Thank you.
her audience.
Appreciate it.
Oh, really?
Yeah. Yeah.
We got some good ones.
Yeah.
We got some good artists, good actors.
Yeah.
You're welcome.
I actually met. Yeah.
But you don't like Reynolds, do you? You just like him. Yeah, exactly.
I actually met a really cool artist from the Ukraine, and she just came over recently, but like they had just started their equivalent of endowment of the arts 2 years ago, but it's pretty limited what they would support. She's like pretty much you had to pay to like do your own exhibitions and galleries, but now she's here and starting over. Yeah. All right, nice meeting you. Take it easy.
So yeah, Camilla was really cool. I really like her art style. It feels very, I don't know, it is cutesy, it is anime style, but there's a lot going on with the way she does stuff. She's really talented. Her characters I guess the medium that she originally does her paintings, I guess they are oil paintings. I know, I'm an idiot. I think part of it, sometimes you can't hear properly. There's so much ambient noise, but I think I missed when she first said that they were oil paintings, and then I just realized that later on when I was asking about it. But I guess the medium that she draws on gives them sort of like this warmth and this sort of very lifelike, mesmerizing quality to them. But on top of that, her art style is very cool. I love how she plays with colors and in themes, and like sort of this dichotomy in some of her pieces and her monochromatic eyes. But I really enjoyed her art. I've seen her occasionally cross over and do I think custom painting or custom work on designer toy stuff, but she's really, I thought she was one of the standout artists for this show, for me anyway. Here's the Squishmallows. Modern day era Beanie Babies. They're just like obese Beanie Babies, I guess. Oh no, actually those are tentacle kitties. I like those. Those are really cool. I actually own one of those. But yeah. So anyway, yeah, books. Right now I think I'm reading Confederacy of Dunces. I feel like maybe I'm like turning into Ignatius Riley, just becoming more of a blowhard with my opinions. Yeah, I don't know. I should just do the rest of this commentary in Ignatius's voice and be like, I was brutalized. How dare you? Yeah, I don't know. It's fine. I think the other thing too is that when you're opinionated about stuff, one thing I kind of am going to try to do when I start doing reviews, or if I'm ever critical of anyone or anything, I'll try to temper it with something positive. Not to negate it, but I mean like maybe like a suggestion that somebody could use to maybe improve or counter the critique. I'll try to be a little more helpful with and maybe that'll like make the critique easier to swallow. I just feel like in today's climate, everyone is super hypersensitive to anything. You can't be hyperbolic anymore. I was like talking with some friends online, and I made like a hyperbolic joke that you know what, I think this show is so inconsistent, it's so hyperbolic, the writing is so like just not it's not tightly crafted, it's not well thought out, it contradicts itself constantly. On top of that, the people who are the showrunners constantly contradict what's actually happening in the show, that I feel like the show is for idiots. And I was being hyperbolic when I said it, and I thought like that the people I was talking with online, I thought we were all sort of in unison, goofing on this show and sort of bonding over goofing. I mean, I guess that's the era I grew up in, is where ball busting, sort of like roasting in unison was sort of a bonding activity. It wasn't mean-spirited, but I put it this way. Like, I think that comedian Artie Lang said it best. Like, if you agree to let us bust your balls, then in a way, that's like us letting you into our club. That's like showing you that, hey, you know what, you're part of our family. You can take a joke, you can kind of, we're not doing it to hurt your feelings, but it'll just be my turn next, and we'll be able to eat it with a grain of salt, and just, we know the critique is done with affection. But I don't know, like somebody just reacted badly. They just thought that, I think when I said that about the show being for idiots, they took it personally as if I was attacking them, I assume, because their reaction was just to mute the channel, so yeah, I don't have a problem if you like that show. It's fine. I'm not gonna like not be your friend, but I don't know what's like the greater faux pas, or like what's the greater misstep. Was it me being hyperbolic, or someone deciding to just mute, and just like the equivalent of someone putting headphones on in the middle of dinner saying, I'm not going to listen anymore until they said they were going to mute until like the show was over. But after that, I just kind of realized, obviously online discourse isn't healthy. Haha, very funny. Why am I doing these YouTube videos anyway? I don't know. I think originally I thought I would do these videos and I would engender a community that would be kind of cool, that I could have cool discussions with pop culture stuff in a safe sort of way. But then I realized, like, the way I talk, my natural voice is maybe not safe. Especially as I get older, I'm what I thought is normal discourse, and the way I talk is considered reckless by new standards. So, I don't know. Anyway, I felt like that dynamic sort of ran its course, but it also woke me up to the fact that I should just stop wasting my time like talking to people online. This is thinking about Ignatius Riley from Confederacy of Dunces made me think of that in general, because I think I was watching some show, what was it? Oh, you know what it was? It was Patient on Hulu with Steve Carell, and it's about like a therapist who ends up getting taken hostage by a serial killer, and the serial killer holds him in his basement and demands that the therapist give him therapy so that he change. And at one point the therapist says to the patient, Steve Carell's character says, hey, human connection, finding meaningful connection with other people is what gives meaning to our life, and you have to sort of explore that. He's trying to encourage the serial killer to sort of reconnect with someone in his life who was romantic, to try to find some empathy, find some humanity, find some connection. So I struggle with that. I grew up with a lot of anxiety, but at the same time, on paper, I want connection with people. But I find myself at times having anxiety bombs go off, and I just want to draw away from people. When someone sort of expresses rejection, I just want to crawl into a goddamn hole and just not come out, which is ironic. Like at my job, I'm constantly having to interface with people, at least 200 plus people, and I'm rotating between all of them, and I have to exercise great diplomacy all the time. But when I leave work, I just want to sort of escape into sort of my own world and not step into like these potentially socially dangerous situations where things can be misunderstood, someone's feelings can get hurt. I just find as I get older, I'm like doing all these checks in my head, like to make sure that what I say is not going to hurt someone's feelings, is not going to come off the wrong way. It's exhausting feeling like I'm walking on eggshells. I mean, I'm not going around just hurling vulgarities all the time or just, denigrating people. But I feel like when I just talk the way I talk, whether it's sarcastically or with what I assume is wit. At times, I don't know. I always end up at some point maybe crossing a boundary or threshold that I shouldn't. And maybe part of that is that I don't have like a safe group. I don't have like a group of people that I've had since my youth that I can talk to like that. I think like that's the other thing. Like during the pandemic, or like a little before the pandemic, I was thinking a lot about, who is in my orbit, who's in my social circles, and are those people who I want to be in my social circles? How many of those people are there just out of a sense of sentimentality? How many of those people are there because they actually inspire me to be a better person? How many of those people do I keep in my circle because they're reliable, stalwart rocks? They're like really reliable people that I can talk to anything about. And the more I thought about it, the more I was like, I wasn't happy with who was in my orbit and who was in my circles. And I also didn't like that a vast majority of my initiations of communications was through social media. I just didn't like that. I don't mind it for people that are in other countries who are like good friends of mine. I mean, how else am I going to communicate with them, right? But when it came to people that I hang out with here, like, it was inordinate the amount of communication I do on social media, and I felt like it was substituting for real connections. So I made a concerted effort to sort of just delete all my connections, all my friends, delete my LinkedIn account, and I was just going to start fresh. And I was just going to be like, hey, if you want to have a conversation with me, if you want to connect with me, just text me or call me and let's hang out, or let's just talk over the phone or something like that. But it reminds me of that there's a clip in Family Guy where I think like Peter and the giggity guy, what is his name? I can't remember, the guy who always goes giggity giggity, but one of them calls the other, and one's in a bath, and the guy's like, hey, what's up? Talking like a guy. What do you need? And the other guy's like, I'm just calling to see how you were, see how things are going. And then there's this awkward silence, and then I hang up. But so yeah, I don't know. I just was thinking of trying to sort of start over and maybe start engaging in certain activities and hobbies that would engender a different group of people. But of course, the pandemic hit and all in-person socializing stopped. So that kind of backfired on me. But yeah, it's fine. I'm just sort of, a lot of my friends are such good friends that even at times when I've taken breaks or hiatuses, they've been so generous to sort of just let me sort of pick up right where we left off when I sort of come back into the fold. Maybe they just sense that anxiety break that I need to take. But yeah, I don't know. I'm just, I think that's one of the reasons that I do like sort of going to like these conventions and stuff like that. You're with, like-minded people that have certain interests. But B, I think a lot of this is sentimental escapism. Going to these types of conventions makes me feel like an 8 or a 9-year-old again, at a time when life was much simpler, and things were, I don't know, it just makes you feel like a wondrous child. Maybe that's part of the allure, but part of it too is that this the art and the just all the stuff here is just very visually interesting, visually appealing. So yeah, it's I guess it's a mix of sentimentality and just I don't know if it's how much of this is fantasy escapism, but yeah, I don't know. Being here, I just kind of forget about a lot of my social obligations, social troubles. It's just cool, kick-ass art, you know. This is A-Game merch. They have a lot of their main artist here. I think his name is Logan Curry, and he has like a Patreon, and he has like a lot of these beautiful prints. Some of them, I think he has not safe for work versions of them. A lot of these lenticulars. But yeah, I have like a lot of his prints and lenticulars. A-Game merch is the only place that I could find his stuff outside of Patreon. Patreon, all I could really find was you could just download high-res PSDs or images of his art. But A-Game merch, I couldn't find a website for them. They seem to only show up at conventions. But yeah, it was pretty cool stuff. Also, you know, you see like statues down here. This is the first big convention I went to, like when it came to New York and San Diego. Usually there's a few statue companies. At San Diego, PCS was there. And I can't remember I think Sideshow may have been there too. But New York Comic Con, not one statue company was here. It's like they've abandoned New York Comic Con completely. There was this maybe like 3 areas with statues. One was Stephen Cartaccio's Concrete Jungle with those sort of hip-hop hybrid statues. 2, there was one major booth in the 3,000 something, maybe around 3,500 or 3,600 row, that had older statues, and there was like one other place, but none of the big companies were here. Sideshow wasn't here, XM Studios wasn't here. It was for statue lovers. This was like a big like drought. I don't know what happened. I think maybe they just figured they would do their own virtual conventions. But I don't know. It was really, really disappointing in that regard. I mean, it's a good thing that I like designer toys and I like art prints, and I like, you know, all the, you know, the panels for the shows. But if I was into like statues and stuff or sculptures, this was not the convention to come to. One day in the future, you know, what I collect taste-wise has changed. I may have started with pop culture statues like, you know, comic book and video game stuff and, you know, Transformers and G.I. Joe and, you know, Batman and Marvel superheroes and stuff like that. And then I may have shifted eventually over to some of these artistic ones like the Batman Samurai, Far East aesthetic versions of some of those. And then but now I think my tastes have changed. There's a lot of lesser known sculptors out of China that do amazing stuff. There's studios out there like Ein Studio, and even like, you know, some of the anime statues, even if they're from big companies like Sume or whatever, I just feel like they're doing a lot more evolutionary things. If China ever opens up again, I'm definitely going to Shanghai, and I'm definitely going to their Wonderfest show. One of the best statue conventions or shows I ever went to was in Japan in 2019. In February, I went to their show in Narita, and I have some video from that on my YouTube channel. If you go back a ways, a few years back, you'll see some video I took of Prime 1 and just like walking the floor and stuff. But that statue convention was so cool because what they did was one side of the floor was all like, name brands, Good Smile, Prime 1, Figurama, all Kotobukiya, just all like well-known figures showing off all their new lines, all their new stuff. It was awesome. And then the other half, they had like another hall that was just about the same size. That was all garage kits. It was all unlicensed stuff. People just, fucking around, coming up with cool ass shit. All of it was unlicensed, and it was glorious. It was so cool. And that show was held in Narita in February, I think January or February of 2019. And that was like the best convention I ever went to in terms of art and people just doing avant-garde stuff. I think the only thing that ever came close was Designer Con. But Designer Con, as it goes on, I feel like it's becoming more commercialized or less risk taking as it goes on. It's becoming a little too mainstream. But yeah, if I can in the future, I'd love to go to Shanghai, China. My original intent was to take like a 2-week trip to Thailand at the end of this year, and I love Thai food. I wanted to visit the country. I hadn't done my research to see if when's the rainy season, when's not. But originally that was my intent to do that maybe in September or so. But ticket prices are super expensive. The pandemic put a lot of restrictions before Thailand opened up properly. I was waiting for like my latest COVID booster shot. So I eventually ended up scrapping those plans. And instead I decided to just hit up a bunch of mini conventions at the end of the year instead. But if I could, I would love to just hit up a couple conventions in these other Asian countries. And then I'm just going to move on to visiting Europe and visiting Italy and Spain and, the UK and so on and so forth. But yeah, I've seen some live streams of videos coming out of China. I mean, the quality isn't that great, but you could tell like the way sculptors do stuff over there, the even like not even just the thematically what they choose to sculpt. It's the way they engineer stuff, the way they do dioramas, the way they sort of push the boundaries for what materials to use. It's just, I just feel like they're artistically, they're just way ahead of us. I don't know how much of that's coming out of Hong Kong or Shanghai, but it's there's like some really talented people. And I feel like American and Western sculptors and designers could learn a lot from what's coming out of there. Even like mainstream companies, like out of Singapore, like XM, and Japanese companies like Prime 1, I feel like they're not pushing the limit anymore. It's just, everything is just the same old. It's the same Wolverine statue, the same Batman statue, just done slightly different, again in a museum pose or slightly dynamic pose. It's like something I've seen 100 times. It's like after texturing got better on sculptures, it's like become stagnant now. So I guess in a way it's good because I've run out of space to display a lot of my statues, and it's coincided with the lack of evolution. The other thing too is that the quality control has dropped off lately too. I feel like when a lot of these companies that make art are young, they they're hungry. They want to build their reputation. They leave like no room for error. They put a lot of care. But once it becomes like a pipeline for business, they start seeing where they can cut costs, or maybe they just factor in, the fuck over X factor. This percentage of people can be fucked over, and we can just keep being profitable because, those people are, I don't know, they're not gonna. It's not gonna be enough of a ding on our radar. It's not gonna be enough of a I don't know what you call it, enough of a warning or a cry to scare off the majority of our customers. I feel like some of these companies, once they get like a reputation going, then they have like this army of sycophants that's like an echo chamber. That's another thing too. It's like whenever you get interested in art, there's usually a fan group that starts for that company. It just reminds me of the Nintendo versus Sega days. Once you get like that echo chamber going, they've perfected it to such a level where, you can't bring up customer service on any of these groups online on social media. If you do, you get lambasted. Sometimes people resort to try to do that because they're not hearing back from the normal avenues of customer support. Okay, that's fine. Maybe there is a time and a place for those kinds of things. But then the other problem is that if you have positive criticism, right? If you have constructive criticism, these groups, they don't want to hear it. These groups are thinly veiled propaganda machines to just, extol the virtues and only the positives of what the company provides. They don't want to hear how anything can ever be better. And then the other problem is that, the word review has lost all meaning on YouTube. I don't even bother searching for the word review. If I put in like, Roomba and then review, guaranteed 9 out of 10 things are just going to be vapid propaganda infomercial pieces, or someone looking pretty, trying to make sure that their lighting looks good as they unbox something, and at the very end they'll just say something like 5 stars and then that's it. I'm like, come on. So when it comes to like statues and art, a lot of times, these review samples are given to people with this sort of hidden implication that if you don't give this statue or this art piece a good review, you know what? That's fine, but your access is going to get cut off. The next time you show up at a convention and you want to set up your tripod and your DSLR camera and, do an interview with us, that ain't going to happen. Or, we're not going to send you the next review piece early. There's just going to be some hesitancy. So there's like this implied, thing that seems to happen behind the scenes where, companies that these reviewers have good relationships, and I use the word reviewers, quote unquote, facetiously, they're just, you're not going to get honesty out of them. You're just going to, have like this sort of like, if the reviewer has a good relationship with that company, you're not going to get honesty out of them. If they don't have a good relationship with a company or an artist, then you are going to get objectivity. I mean, when you have this kind of system in place, combined with these, fan propaganda echo chambers, it's going to hurt the industry. That's where you get like a lack of evolution. That's where you get falling quality control. That's where you get like, these sort of tribal, proponents for, hey, Nintendo, Sega does what Nintendo doesn't. It's almost like, what's that quote? Those who don't read history are doomed to repeat it. It's so disheartening. And then, if you're on like a popular video platform like YouTube or whatever, you know, if you're going to be critical of corporate culture or corporate practices, and I just don't even mean overtly, then, you know, what's the chance that your video is going to be promoted or going to get like, you know, any kind of traction, you know? So yeah, it's just disheartening. Yeah. So yeah, I guess eventually I will do reviews, and I'll probably get blacklisted and blocked, and you know, probably be given the evil eye by all these companies. I'm not out to try to just be a hater and just get, you know, try to get views or reviews by like being like, you know, this like serial you know, guy spouting diarrhea, like hate at everything. That's not my goal. I genuinely do love stuff. I mean, there are things, of course, that are not perfect, that I make allowances for because I have love for it or have sentimentality for it or I'm a fan of it. And I'll be honest and admit that. But at the same time, if something lets me down, or if something is not sort of, you know, up to what could be, or, you know, should be, you know, I'm going to call people out on it, you know. My big thing is, you know, I'm honest up to a certain point. I can't be honest about every detail of my personal life. Obviously, I can't be reckless and honest about how I feel about certain people, because their feelings may get hurt. But I'm just going to be as honest as I can be, especially when it comes to these corporations. And, I'm not trying to start feuds with people. If I talk about, you know, certain trends, I'll leave it at that if I can. But yeah, whenever I get to those reviews, I'll try to get a couple pushed out in November. Maybe I'll just do like quick 90-second or 5-minute reviews and push them out on multiple platforms. And I'll start with something small like designer toys, or and then work my way up to statues or something. And maybe I'll do like 2 versions of every review. One will be like sort of a quick, dirty 90-second thing, and then another one will be sort of a more of a long form format that's like maybe 15 or 20 minutes long. But yeah, I really want to just get that out there, get it out of my system. I don't know. I just don't have the community to talk about this often. Or, I mean, maybe I do, but I don't know. I just want to preserve my thoughts on this for now. I feel like I have some good insights and certain things to say, and I've been collecting for several years now. I have a lot of pieces. I follow like the trends and the history of a lot of this. So yeah, ironically too, I guess I'm finding myself feeling a little burnout on collecting in a way. Maybe psychologically. I think psychologically, collecting is really about control and maybe sort of holding on to something. But yeah, I find myself sort of wanting to move on from collecting in a lot of ways. And I think me doing these videos is sort of my last gasp. It's sort of me sort of holding on to this hobby in a way as one final way to kind of keep it going or keep it interesting. But I don't know. I'll just see how it goes. Maybe I'll be surprised. Maybe there'll be something new out there that I'm into. Yeah. I'll talk about collecting a little more in another video, maybe, if anybody wants to hear that, or if I want to hear it later on. Yeah, they seem to really have gone all out with these Dragon Ball Z and One Piece displays. Man, they did a really amazing job. The whole Dragon Ball Z thing, I sort of missed the boat on that. Growing up, like the big cartoons I was into, I mean, I think when I first came to this country, I used to love watching like Casper the Friendly Ghost, the Flintstones. When I was maybe like 7, 8, 9, 10 years old, it was all about Speed Racer, Justice League. I think when, like He-Man and Thundercats came out, that blew my mind. I couldn't believe how cool that animation was. And then I think the thing that just short-circuited my brain was the first time I saw Robotech and Voltron, and I was just, Japanese animation was just so far ahead of what I was used to, and plus like the storylines were sort of just so like advanced. To me, that was the animation equivalent of watching like Empire Strikes Back or Star Wars: A New Hope. That's back when media didn't try to like dumb down stuff. It wanted kids to sort of deal with mature themes and gave kids more credit. I mean, like, look at Robotech, the fact that someone is like dealing with alcoholism, or someone is hurt and dying and they know they're dying, but they have to just deal with their legacy or what their last moments or words will be. I mean, that's a lot for a kid to take, but I think maybe deep down, or maybe it's a retrospective thing, I appreciated that they would give kids that kind of credit to deal with those types of adult themes. I remember the last sort of cartoon that I used to watch a lot was maybe Batman the Animated Series, and I sort of had a renewed respect for it when I saw Mask of the Phantasm in theaters. But I think the whole Dragon Ball Z thing, I was sort of maybe in college by that point, and I was just sort of over cartoons for the longest time. So maybe it's just a generational thing. I did watch like a little bit of One Piece recently. I enjoyed it. I thought it was very enjoyable. I liked. I could put my head into the proper headspace to watch and enjoy that. But yeah, like even when I was like becoming a teenager, I remember like seeing the Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles cartoon, and I know I'm gonna lose a lot of you here, but I didn't like that cartoon. I watched it, but I really didn't like it. I didn't like the art style. I didn't like the dialogue. I didn't like how kiddie it was. And it was only because I had read that comic when it first came out. And that comic, not only did I have that comic, but I had, I think my friend had the RPG book for it, which had beautiful art from Eastman in it. And yeah, I just loved that sort of that gritty take on these turtles and stuff. And then when I saw like the sort of what ended up as the animation with Krang and all those guys, Rocksteady and Bebop, and this sort of Nickelodeon-ish Technicolor take on it, I was just like, this is cheesy, this is lame, I hate this. I think I did appreciate that art style a little bit later on, or what it provided, but I didn't get back into animation again, I guess, until I saw like, I never really fell out of watching animation. I remember I just moved on to maybe renting anime movies. I would just watch like, Crying Freeman. I would rent the tapes of that, or, I remember when I had my first apartment in Columbia, Maryland, I bought all of Rurouni Kenshin. I think I bought like, I don't know, it's like over 100 episodes, maybe 200 episodes on these high quality VHS tapes from like one of those local anime shops where they recorded them in high quality on anime tapes. So every day for lunch, I would come home and get a glass of chocolate milk and my Subway sandwich, and I'd watch an episode of Kenshin, and then I would like go back to work because my apartment was like maybe about 5-7 minutes from my workplace. And the other one that I really loved watching later on was I would go to this Video 95 store in Langley Park, Maryland, and there you could just rent, you know, anything for 95 cents except, you know, for adult movies, which I don't know, I wasn't into that, but I would rent Berserk or Record of Lodoss War. And ironically, I drove by that Video 95 store recently, and it's become a porno shop. It finally succumbed. But yeah, it's like a sex toy and adult toy shop with pornos and stuff. Yeah, it's got a pretty good Yelp rating, I would say. But I remember watching the Street Fighter, the animated movie, and Jubei Ninja Scroll. Even in college, I think like it was one of those Demon City Shinjuku or Demon City Hunter. It was one of really risque, sexually risque movies I watched like early with a whole bunch of college people on a Friday night. And people were laughing and you know, embarrassed, and it was funny. But yeah, I think I've always just been evolving my animation tastes. At times, I feel like I've sort of not been into anime or animation for a while, but then something would always draw me back, whether it was Studio Ghibli, something poignant like Grave of the Fireflies, or you know, Spirited Away, or you know, especially Princess Mononoke. I would say was like major and formative. One of the best parts of going to Japan back in 2019 was going to that Studio Ghibli museum. It was like an hour west of Tokyo. It was worth it. But if I ever go back to Japan, I definitely want to visit the theme park, that and the Mario theme park. But the Studio Ghibli theme park, I think, is coming. I don't know if that's open yet, but that's definitely on my list of to-do things. That guy Miyazaki, he's like a master. He's able to capture the human element and our, you know, struggle with nature and our struggle with our own humanity beautifully. I remember when I was a kid, one of the most amazing movies that I couldn't believe was made in America was The Last Unicorn. And of course it came out recently that his studio, he was the one behind the animation for that movie. That was them that actually did it. Of course. Yeah, that makes a lot of sense now. But yeah, not to say Western animation isn't great. I mean, like Ralph Bakshi, you know, the heavy metal animations, pieces of that. There's some Western animation that's really good. One of my favorite animations is Into the Spider-Verse. I just thought the art style on that was ridiculously good. They were able to capture human nuance through animation that in a way that real film doesn't at times. And of course, you know, what's the latest thing that bowled me over that's completely Western? I think it's Western. I don't know if it's European or American, but the Netflix show Arcane, the animation on that is so good. You know, animation can be technically good, but when it sort of captures the feeling or the human element, or it makes you even forget that it's an animation at times, you know, Arcane is like that. I think it's one of those things that's evolutionary and will probably go down in history as being very like a milestone for the industry. Not only that, the story, the writing, unlike crappy writing today, or I would say recently, it was solid. The characters made sense. They're you know, just it did a really, really good job of handling multiple spheres of both interpersonal and political conflicts. I really enjoyed it. That was one of the best things I've ever seen on Netflix. Tamashii Nations is cool. They have like I have a couple of their samurai Star Wars figures. I don't really have like a Japanese fetish or anything like that, or a samurai fetish. I know I probably used the word samurai like 50 times already in this commentary, but I do enjoy that culture where that aesthetic where people try to live by a code, and it's just interesting to see that type of aesthetic applied to something you wouldn't expect. But I like anything that explores humanity and brotherhood and code. I mean, probably my favorite movie is Reservoir Dogs, and but I do enjoy the aesthetics of that kind of era of history applied to things you wouldn't expect, especially like cybernetic stuff, futuristic stuff. But yeah, One Piece was pretty prominent. Man, there were a lot of Bandai Namco, Banpresto. They had a lot of space dedicated to One Piece. I guess it's huge, it's everywhere. I was watching this guy play skee ball, and at first I was just like, I don't think he understands how skee ball works. But after a while, he started like money hitting like the 50s and the 100s. I was like, oh, okay. Maybe I'm the I'm the piker in this scenario. But yeah, that guy was, I think like he had a system and he just needed to get warmed up. I'm never good at those carnival games. Whatnot had a pretty big presence here last time too. Last year also. They had like a live DJ last year. This time they didn't. But it was kind of cool. It's nice seeing all these independent comics here. Some really cool neoprene mats here too. Thought these were nice. I need to get like a giant neoprene mat that covers my entire table. Right now I'm just I moved everything into my bedroom because I have a big TV in there, and I'm just using like a fold out table with my laptop on the corner recording this audio. I hope it's not picking up too much ambient noise because I have like liquid cooling running in my PC about a few feet away, and but I don't know, hopefully this will come out okay. It won't be too bad. There's Marvel's booth. They had some cool comics there, some cool keychains and lanyards. Yeah, so I had registration for the Violent Night panel. Also, I ended up going up to Brooklyn for Bottleneck Gallery's 10-year anniversary party. I'm glad I did. I really wanted to get a couple prints, a couple posters up there. And it was nice meeting some of the people up there and just getting out of Manhattan for a bit. In some ways, I like the vibe of Brooklyn a lot. But I don't know, like it's so expensive in the city. I was trying to get a Lyft or an Uber, and like the lowest price I could see was $75 from the Javits Center up to a Bottleneck Gallery up in Brooklyn. So I ended up getting a Metro card, and the trains, I don't know, at times it can be a little daunting or confusing to people that are out of towners. I figured it out, but when I was coming back, I started taking the train in the wrong direction at first. But yeah, every time like you get on the wrong train in New York, if you feel like you're in the Warriors movie, you feel like you're about to just get bat to the side of your head, and you know, your last moments will be in a puddle of pee on the wrong train. But I don't know, I figured it out. I like exploring these smaller booths back here. Sometimes you see like cooler art. That's where like I find stuff like Yukio Heroes. Oh, this is Handover Hero. One of my coworkers even has like one of these stickers on her water bottle. I thought these are really cool. I like that sculpture there, the Appa. Yeah. Yeah, these are really good. This guy's a cool artist. But yeah, I do a separate video for the Artist Alley. That'll probably